of needle-like leaves are present so that rain or snow can slide off them very easily, right? Then like this goat, it has very strong hooves, which helps it to run on the rocky slopes. It can run on the rocks very easily because of the strong hooves. Okay. Then talking about the some other organisms like snow leopard. Snow leopards have got a very thick fur on its body, which provides protection from the cold. We did learn about these things. We did also learn about grasslands. So we learned that grasslands would be basically an area on land where the land would be covered with grasses. Light brown grasses would be growing, or we see that the animals found to be growing in a grassland would be animals like elephants, giraffes, lions. Some of the animals that are found to live in a grassland, deers are also there. The light brown color of the lion helps it to hide in the dry grasses, and the presence of strong claws, the long claws, helps it to capture the prey. Right now, we also learned like deer,
Sir.
deer, deer has strong teeth, which using which with the help of that it can eat the stems of the plants very easily, and their ears are long, so it helps the deers to detect the movement of the predators, right? And also the eyes of the deer are on the side of its head, so which helps it to move, which helps it to look in all the directions, so they can look out for the danger. Okay. We did also learn about rainforest. So we learned that rainforest would be a habitat which should be receiving lots of rain, and if it's receiving lots of rainfall, thereby it will be rich in life. Rich in life, there will be lots of living organisms in a rainforest, and they will be diverse, meaning that there will be lots of variety of living organisms in a rainforest. So mammals and amphibians, reptiles, all sorts of animals will be found in a rainforest. Okay, now, and the climate would be hot and it will be humid also, and the animals that would be found there, they will have to learn to adapt to survive in a rainforest. Okay, now. Yes, Halima, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam. How are you, Halima?
I was late because I went out.
Okay, no worries. Okay, we are basically revising what we have done so far. Then in the case of rainforest
Okay.
also, yeah, Halima.
Okay.
Yeah. Both of you turn your cameras on in the class, guys. We also learned about how the plants would be adapted in a rainforest. Since a rainforest is a very dense area, the vegetation in the rainforest is very dense. If you happen to visit a rainforest, there won't be any area, any empty land in a rainforest where the plants will not be growing. Wherever you look, some kind of plant will be growing in a rainforest, right now, and the plants that will be growing at
Yes,
different
sir.
height. They will be growing at different height, and the plants would be competing with each other for catching maximum sunlight. Sunlight is required for photosynthesis right now. Also, we had seen the stratification in the forest, meaning that different plants of different height would be growing. Some plants would make a roof-like structure called as canopy, and they will be competing with each other for sunlight, and they will be blocking almost 70-80% of the sunlight from reaching the lower plants. So how the lower plants would be getting the sunlight? So the lower plants, their leaves would be very broad, so that they can catch maximum sunlight. Huh? Or if lots of rain were to accumulate on the branches now, so thereby the branch will become heavy
Yes.
and it might break now. So for that purpose, drip tips were present,
Yes.
as you can see
Yes.
over
Yes,
here.
sir.
So with the help of that,
Yes.
water will not be accumulating but will be sliding from it. So thereby the weight of the plant does not increase, hence the branches do not break.
Sir, and also as the dense canopy
Mhm.
blocks much of the sunlight, thereby plants grow in low levels, have an adaptation to live in low light conditions.
Exactly. Like the plants growing there, na, they have adaptation to low light conditions. They can even perform photosynthesis in even a small amount of light. Okay. So this is something which we learned. We did learn about adaptation in animals also, where we had a look at
Yes,
some
sir.
spatial animals which would be doing camouflage. We had the
Yes, sir.
example of stick insects, right, Khadijat, Halima? We had the example of stick insects. This
Yes, sir.
this
Yes.
particular butterfly that you see, it can camouflage. Okay, thereby it will be
Yes.
helping it to protect themselves from the predators. Okay.
Sir, this butterfly will be looking like a dead leaf.
Hmm. Looks like a dead leaf. So other insects will be mistaking it for a dead leaf and will not be
Dead
eating it.
leaf.
Hmm.
Yes.
Furthermore, most of the some of the animals have a, we did learn that they have a arboreal lifestyle. That meaning
Yes.
that they will be spending most of their time on the branches of the trees,
Trees.
and they will be avoiding themselves
So that
from.
the other animals which are living, which are walking down,
Hmm.
they won't be eating the animals which are on the.
Exactly, so that they don't get hunted by the predators walking on the
Yes.
ground. They will be leaving, and they will be like kind of like we have the example of like sloth or monkey. Their limbs are very strong. Okay, now their limbs there are very strong, so thereby they can easily move from one branch to the another branch. So that is an adaptation in them. Okay, now that is the thing. Today we are going to continue with
Yes,
the
sir.
polar habitats. You are going to look at some very beautiful and cute looking animals over here, like the polar bear, seal, or the penguins. Okay, now also some of the animals like penguins, they are known to live in colonies. Okay, they will be living in groups. Okay, and they will be living in groups. Okay, there are so many interesting thing about penguins which I'll be telling you guys. First of all, let us understand the characteristics of a polar habitat, what this place is. So polar habitats are very cold and windy places on earth. Okay, now so one question might come to your mind that why polar areas are very cold. You might think of this, why they are very
Yes,
cold.
sir.
Huh? So it has actually got to do with the way how sunlight falls on it. Okay, now like for example, say that this is our earth. Let us try to understand this is our earth,
Yes.
right? Okay, and this is the polar region. This is,
Yes.
you guys understand now, our earth has north pole and the south pole are
Yes,
there.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Good.
equator also.
Equator also, very good. So this is the north pole and this is the south pole, and these areas are very cold. That's why you don't see people's living in the north pole or in the south pole. Only the
Yes,
research
sir.
scientists would be going there for the purpose of research. Okay, na? Huh. So let us understand why they are so cold. The polar regions, why they are so cold. The reason is that they receive very less amount of sunlight as compared to other areas on earth. Okay, na? They receive
Sir,
very. Mhm.
sometimes they won't even get the sunlight.
There are days when they will be completely dark in the polar regions. Okay, na?
Yes.
So guys, try to understand it like this. Like these are the sunlight. Okay, these are the sun's rays falling on the north pole, and these are the sun's rays falling close to the equatorial region, and these are the sun's rays falling to
Yes.
the southern pole of
South
earth.
pole.
Uh, so you guys would have observed that these light rays have to travel longer distances while these have to travel short
Yes.
distance, right now guys?
Yes,
Light
sir.
rays have to travel long distance, while here they have to travel short distance. So thereby the strength of the amount of light ray that will be reaching here, it will also be very less, and they will have to travel longer distances. So thereby that region is
Yes.
cold. Okay, now because it is not getting sufficient amount of sunlight, and
Yes,
the
sir.
sun's rays have to travel longer distances to reach them. Thereby those regions are cold. So they receive less solar radiation. That's how they are cold. Okay, now you can relate it from this, like the countries that are in the equatorial region. Like we have a imaginary line that runs in the middle of the earth. It's not some like
Yes.
someone has drawn a line like it's an imaginary line. Okay,
Yes.
so that is called as equator. So the
Yes,
countries that are situated close to the equator, now, like for example, take the case of India. Over here we have the India. Over here we have South Africa. Here is the North America. Here is the South America. Here you have Australia, like this. Over here is the Asia, for example. So usually the places that would be more closer to equator now, so those places are much warmer, much warmer.
yes,
Huh? Or like if you were to went over here, try to understand it from here. If you guys were to went to this part of the world, here you have the Siberian desert in Russia. That is very cold. Why? Because it is away from equator. But if you were to parts
yes,
like this, for example, here you have Saudi Arabia, here you have Africa, huh? Saudi Arabia is
yes,
there, Egypt is there, right now. India is here. So for most part of the year, these areas will be very warm because the
yes,
sun's lights are directly falling over there. So those are the things.
yes, sir.
Anyways, getting back to the topic, the kind of animals that would be living uh, in the polar habitat, or the kind of plants that will be growing here, they will be having some adaptations that will help them to survive. Okay, na? Like for example, the animals would be mostly carnivorous animals. Why? Because plants are not in abundance. Plants are
Yes,
not in abundance, no? So thereby most of the animals would be having a carnivore diet. They will be eating
carnivorous diet.
exactly other animals. Okay. Some of them would be blending in ice, and some of them might hibernate in the coldest month. Like
Sir,
Mhm.
blend in ice means
Blending ice means that they will be doing camouflage, meaning that
uh,
some animals have the same color as that of ice. For example, the polar bears that
yes,
you
sir.
see over here, they are having the same color as that of ice. Okay, so
Yes,
it will be helping it to hide among the ices, ice meaning. So right now, for example, this polar bear hunts the seal. The polar bear, they are known to hunt the
yes,
seal. They eat them. So thereby the
yes,
white color of this polar bear will help it to camouflage, hide among the snow, so that the seal does not notices it. Okay, now.
yes, sir.
So that is one thing. Okay. Some of them would be doing camouflage, and some of them would be doing hibernation also.
Hibernation.
Hibernation, you
Sir,
guys.
like
Uh-huh.
polar bear also hibernate. Like it sleeps.
Exactly. Polar bear also hibernates. So talking about hibernation now, hibernation basically is a process where the animals would be sleeping for a very long duration of time in order to minimize the energy requirement of the body. Like when you guys are sleeping, do you feel hungry while you are sleeping? While sleeping,
No, sir.
we don't feel anything. We don't feel hungry or like that. So you kind of you can relate it in that manner right now. So they would be hibernating. Hibernation is basically a process where an animal would be going to a state of deep sleep, where they will not be eating anything, since
Sir,
in the winter conditions.
sir, it's
Yes, Harima, repeat again. Khadija, am I audible?
it is
Huh.
yes, sir.
Harima, I think you're
Uh,
having some network issue.
deep. Sometimes there will be stuck, sir.
Hmm.
Sir,
Yes, I'm listening now.
sir, I said that hibernation is a deep sleep that helps them to save energy and
Hmm.
survive the winter without eating without eating food.
Exactly. Right now. So see, for example, as we know that the polar bears would have to hunt down the seals. They have to hunt the seal to that the that in the winters now. In the winters, the population of seals would be decreasing. They would be decreasing, right?
Yes,
So thereby there will be less availability of the food. Hmm? There will be less availability of the food. So instead of in
yes,
there are only some cases where the polar bears will be doing hibernation, but in most of the cases do not hibernate actually. let us understand how they then survive in the winter. Huh? So polar bears would be hunting the seals for by waiting for them to appear in the ice. You know that in the ice there are some spots which at some spots now the seal would be coming out in order to breathe. Hmm? Like
Yes.
there's a small hole in the ice, and seal will come, it will appear at this breathing place. These are called as breathing holes. Breathing
Yes.
holes. So seals would be appearing over here. So the polar bears
Yes,
would
sir.
be standing next to it. Whenever the seal would be appearing, the polar bears will catch them. Okay, na? That is one thing. Many of the polar bears would be digging hunts. They would be digging hunts, and hunts, I mean, those are dens actually. Okay, na? So they would be kind of hiding in the dens also in the winter season. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
That is one thing. Or
Yes,
but
sir.
particularly if there's a pregnant polar bear now, if there's a pregnant polar bear, so they have the capability to lower down the heart rate. They can reduce their body temperature and their heart rate also. So thereby the food requirement decreases. So they can go in a state of light hibernation. It's not like they will be going into a deep sleep, but they will be reducing the heart rate, the rate of their beating now, the speed of the beating of the heart will be slowed down by some of them. Okay, na? So polar bears many times, so they are confused with the brown bears. It's actually the brown bears that will be doing hibernation. The polar bears, the white polar bear, they are usually not known to do hibernation. Okay, na?
Yes.
Getting it? Okay. Continuing further, animals living in the polar region, like polar bear, they have a thick layer of fat and a thick fur also, which helps them, which provides them protection against the cold. Okay. Also, they have wide and large paws, which help them walk better on ice
Yes, sir.
or snow. So their feet, basically, their paws are
Sir,
wide. Yeah.
sir, your voice is breaking.
Khadija, is the same issue happening with you as well? Am I audible to you, or my voice is breaking for you as
Yes, sir.
well? You
It's
also.
little time.
Just 1 minute. Yes, am I audible? Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. If that happens again, do let me know. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So as you can see, like this polar bear has really wide feet. Okay, now if they have a wide feet, so thereby their feet will not be sinking in the snow. So they'll be able to walk comfortably on the snow. So that is one adaptation in the. Okay. They have a thick fur on their
Yes, sir.
body. They have a thick layer of fat and a fur on their body, which provides them protection against the cold. Okay. Furthermore, they have a very good sense of smell. They have a very good sense of smell, and usually they are white in color to hide themselves from their prey while they're hunting. Like if they are detectable by their prey, so the prey will run away. No? If like if over here,
Yes.
if the polar bear is present over here, let's say the polar bear is hidden among some snow. Okay, and like the polar bear is hidden
Yes.
over here. Some amount of snow is
Yes,
there, and right behind that, the polar bear is hiding, and its color is also white. So thereby, many times the seal will not be able to detect the presence of the polar bear, since polar bear is also white. So that white color also is one such adaptation which helps it to hunt the seal or other animals. Okay.
Yes.
So these are the special adaptations seen in the case of the polar bears. So hope you guys have understood this. By the way, have a look at this one also. There are some behavioral adaptations also. Okay, now so as I was saying you that usually the polar bears are not known to do hibernation. So how they'll be protecting themselves in the wind, in the windy conditions, in the winters. So they will be digging dens to protect themselves from the cold winds. Okay. Also, they are very good. They are good swimmers also. Okay, now they can even go into the ice water, cold water to hunt down the seals. Okay, now.
Yes.
So that is a behavioral adaptation, but not a physical adaptation. Not like adaptation in their body. It's a behavioral adaptation. Well, physical adaptation we have discussed about the white fur, which helps it to blend in with the snow. Basically, it helps it to camouflage. Okay, thick layer of
Yes.
fat keeps the temperature of the body maintained. Okay, now provides it protection
Yes.
against cold.
Yes, sir.
Also, you guys know that in deserts you'd be having a fox called as funnel fox. You have seen the funnel
Yes,
fox.
sir. Yes,
They
sir.
have really very long and wide ears.
Yes,
Kadija,
Yes.
sir.
have you seen that? So you know
Yes.
that is actually an adaptation in the case of funnel fox. So with the help of which it loses the body heat. The funnel fox is able to lose the body heat because of those long and wide ears, as you can see over. See the ears of the funnel fox. Look at these images. They usually are long.
Yes, sir.
Look at the first image.
They
Okay,
have a very long and pointy ear.
like this one. But compare this with the
Yes,
case
sir.
with this polar bear. Polar bears are very having very short ear. Okay, no. So you know
Yes.
how it helps them.
Sir, polar bears' ears are like small size, round and small.
Uh, So thereby, the polar bear, in order to minimize the loss of the heat from the body, their ears are very small. Okay, no. So they are just
Yes.
small. Further, they are round also. So each round also. So thereby, it will not allow the cold water to enter their ears. Okay, now they are round. So thereby, if they were to swim in the water, the round ears does not allow the water to enter into the ears. And why they are small? Because if they were to be very big now, like this, like in the case of funnel fox, we have seen, so
Yes.
heat will be lost from the body because of presence of large ears.
Yes, sir.
But they have a small ears, so which is really helpful for them. So these are adaptations in the case of this. Okay, now before we
Yes.
discuss about the adaptations in the case of plants, it is important to know or discuss something about the adaptations in penguins. Okay, so as we know that penguins, as you can see the image over here, the penguins they will be having several adaptations which will be helping them to survive in the cold environment. First of all, that penguins, are they able to fly? No,
No, sir.
No, sir.
because the bones of the penguins are very dense. The bones are heavy as compared to the flying birds. You know the
Yes.
bones of the flying birds are hollow from inside.
Yes.
Right
Yes, sir.
now, so the hollow bones actually reduces their body weight, so thereby they can fly easily in the air. So but the bones of the penguins are very dense. Okay, na? So
Yes,
so it helps them to dive to greater depth. Meaning that, think about
sir.
this.
Penguins are like very
Mhm.
good swimmer.
Exactly. So you know, if the body weight of the penguins were to be very less, it will not be able to dive into deep level, into greater
Yes.
depths. Try to relate it with this
Sir.
thing, like if something that is heavy, it will go down into the water very easily.
It will sink. Yes.
It will sink now. So if this penguin were to have hollow bones, the bones were to be very light, so it would be not able to sink into deeper levels of the water. So that is one adaptation in the case of penguins. Also, their feet are webbed. They have webbed feet.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Huh?
they have webbed feet like ducks.
Yeah, like ducks. So that would be helping it to swim in the
Web.
water. Right now, they have paddle-like flippers. As you can see on the both side of the body, they have.
Yes.
Yes, Khadija.
Yes.
Huh. So that will be also helping them to swim. So webbed feet, and then this paddle like flippers,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
paddle like flippers, they help them, they makes them a very good swimmer. Right now, furthermore, the
Yes.
penguins,
Sir.
they also have a thick layer of fat in their body. They also have a thick layer of fat in their body that provides some protection fat. Along with that, there's a presence of thick fur also in their
Fur.
body. Good.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. Now also the color of the penguin would be helping it to camouflage. Okay. Now they would be helping it to
Yes.
camouflage. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
like if you were to ever see a penguin floating, swimming in the water, now at the first instance it might be difficult for you, like to identify that a penguin is floating. Why? Because the back of the penguin is black in color. Right now, the back of
Yes.
the penguin is black in color. Try to understand this. So it would be helping it to camouflage while it would be swimming. How does it so? Like their their dark backs would be blending in against the sea, and the light front part of the body would be against the sky. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So while
Yes, sir.
swimming, it helps it in camouflage. Okay, so these are some of the adaptations: the presence of the fat layer of his fat layer of fat under the skin. That is one thing. Also, they would be living in large numbers and would be huddling together to keep themselves warm. Okay, no?
Yes.
Penguins would be huddling together to keep themselves warm. So if you ever happen to see the documentaries on penguins, you can see that they would be huddling together. They would be living in groups, uh, and they would be kind of huddling themselves to keep themselves warm. Okay, now
Yes.
also it's kind of a social gathering of the penguins also. Okay, we kind of social gathering for them also, right? So that is the
Yes.
thing about them. Also, the penguins, do they
Yes,
give birth to live organisms or do they give eggs? Do they lay eggs?
Sir, they lay eggs.
Hmm. Very good. They would be laying the eggs actually. Okay, now. Okay then. So continuing further, talking about the adaptation in the case of plants. The
Sir, what
plant,
are we supposed to write?
I will be telling you guys once the topic would be over. Okay.
Okay.
So the talking about like hmm, talking about some of the adaptations seen in the case of the plants that will be growing in the polar regions. Now, first of all, there will be very less amount of vegetation. Okay.
Yes.
Furthermore, like the plants that will be growing here now, even if the temperature drops negative zero, negative even if the temperature drops less than 0 degrees Celsius, so they will be able to carry out photosynthesis. Even if the temperature is very cold, they will be able to carry out photosynthesis. Okay, na? So that
Sir,
is one such adaptation.
photosynthesis is like with the sunlight, right? But
Yeah,
how can they have like
uh, like when the winters will be over, no, when the winters are over, when it's summer, so even if with a small amount of sunlight, the plants would be able to carry out photosynthesis. Getting it?
okay,
The plants in the polar regions will show adaptations in various manners right now. So also there will be very less leaves in the in the plants. As you can see over here, the leaves are needle like, having a needle like
yes,
structure, so that snow does not accumulate on
yes,
it right now.
yes,
Or
sir.
these small leaves now would be kind of they would be able to withstand the harsh conditions, with harsh climatic conditions. Even if the temperature is very cold, they can withstand that. Okay, so that is one such adaptation over here, as you can see over here.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Also, like if you were to see the documentaries on the polar regions, like the tundra vegetation, if you were to look at them, what you will find now, like the during winters, the land would be covered with snow, but in the summer season, as those ice will be melting, the plants will then start to grow. So where did those plants came from? Actually, those plants were Those plants got buried under the snow, but as soon as the summer came, they quickly started to grow. Okay, na? They quickly started to grow in the
Yes,
summer season. So the plants can actually withstand the harsh conditions. They do not die easily in the harsh conditions. So that is also the adaptation. Okay, so with just a small amount of sunlight availability in the summer season, they will be able to live. Okay, now. So that is
yes,
the thing. So here we have completed this. So you guys first of all give the topic polar habitat. Give the topic polar habitat, and in that you're going to write down the following points, which I'm going to highlight. That these habitats are very cold and windy. The animals are mostly carnivore and have thick fur to survive. Some blend in ice and some may hibernate in the coldest months. Examples are polar bears, reindeers, penguins, etc. Write down this much.
Okay, sir.
Also, the plants that grow in the polar regions, na, they are able to flower very quickly. Like once the summer season would be beginning, now the flowering plants would be producing flowers. They will be very producing flowers very quickly. Okay.
yes, sir.
Hmm. Like some plants have the ability to grow in absence of soil also. Even if there isn't much amount of soil, some plants can grow there. Okay, write down
Sir,
this much bit.
in the north or south pole, it's
Mm-hmm.
very cold, right? So
Yeah,
there
it's
is
cool.
like there is no soil over there, or there is a bit less amount of soil.
There is very small amount of soil in the polar regions. It's not like soil is not there. Like there is, but very less. Okay, now very less, almost negligible amount of soil, we can say.
Okay, sir.
Uh-huh. Because you know that the upper layer of the soil in the polar regions would be frozen for the whole year. It would be frozen basically, so it will form a rock like structure. Okay, so thereby, since the soil, whatever soil is present there, it will be basically hard like a rock. So it will be very difficult for trees to grow because the soil is hard, and also it is basically covered under the soil for most of the time. Even if it is some amount of soil present, it is very hard. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yes.
Sir, will the soil be rich?
No, that soil will not be rich in nutrients. Okay, no,
Okay.
the fertility of that soil will not be very good. So you will see like in some parts of like Antarctica, smaller plants like shrubs will be growing. Mosses or alga, they can grow. Okay, that is the thing. Write down all
Okay.
this quickly.
Example. Yeah. Right. Polar bear.
Sir, right.
Done. Good. Halima, you also write down this quickly.
Yes.
So meanwhile, Khadija, you answer these things. What would be the shape and size of the leaves of plants growing in the polar habitat? Will the leaves be very broad or will it be very thin? What kind of shape will it have?
Sir, I'm done.
Then okay. You guys answer this question to me. The
Sir,
kind of leaves.
they have a thin, I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
pointed leaf, needle-like leaves.
Little like leaves, na?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Right after you are done with this, na, just give the topic of adaptation in polar bear. Okay. Adaptation in polar bear, and write down the following bullet points. Okay, no, not the whole sentence. Write down thick layer of fat under the skin. Then write down presence of thick white fur. Okay. Then they have wide paws. Wide paws that help them to walk easily. Strong sense of a smell. Strong sense of a smell. Strong sense of a smell. Okay, write down these things.
Sir, the second bullet point is thick white fur, right?
Thick white fur, yes. Thick white fur.
White fur. Wide paws.
White fur, WHIT, white. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, Khadija, you still haven't got the syllabus from your school now for your upcoming exams.
Yes, sir.
Okay, by the way, both of you guys turn your camera on in the class.
Strong sense of smell. Sir, I'm done.
So which feature, which adaptation in polar bear keeps it warm?
What's it?
Which adaptation in polar bear keeps it warm? Keeps it warm.
Sir, the thick layer of the
Fat.
fur.
Fat. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, give the topic adaptation in plants. Adaptation in plants in the polar regions. Just write down adaptation in plants. Okay.
Okay.
So in this, you will get to see that the plants growing in the polar regions, they have adapted in such a manner that they have developed the ability to grow under a layer of snow. They have developed the ability to grow under a layer of snow. Okay, now like if you ever happen to visit some polar region in future, let's say, so if you go to a place where the layer of ice is not very thick, okay, now if the layer of ice is not very thick, so if you were to remove some ice now under the ice cover, you will see that some small plants would be still growing. Those will be green in color and they will be still growing. So the some plants can manage to grow under the layer of snow, but the condition that snow should not be very thick. Okay, now
Yes, sir.
so some plants.
Sir, this is in the bullet point or
No, just a note. It's a note. Okay, now.
okay.
So some plants have adapted by developing the
Developing
ability to grow
to grow
under a layer of
under
snow.
a layer of
They can
snow.
even carry out
They can
photosynthesis
carry out
in extremely cold temperature.
in extreme
Cold conditions, cold temperature. Okay, now.
cold cold
Some other adaptations in them include is their small size. The plants are not very big in size, they are very small in size. Okay, now that is one thing. The leaves are small. Small needle like leaves are present in them. That is also one of the adaptations. Even if some trees were to be growing there, so the trees have a cone shaped structure, so that will allow the snow to fall off it very easily, so thereby their weight does not increases, hence the plant does not break down. Okay, now.
Yes, sir.
While in the case of in summer season, na, the flowering plants would be flowering very quickly. Right now, so ability to flower
To
quickly.
flower quickly.
Flower quickly. That is,
Quickly.
these are some of the
Mhm.
features. Also, some of them have ability to grow without soil also. But just write down
Sir,
these
the
adaptations.
third,
Yes.
sir, the third thing,
Cone
trees
shape.
can.
Cone shape. CONE. Okay. Cone shape.
Trees.
After this, we are going to learn down, like we have learn about habitats and the adaptations. Okay, now this is something which we have learned. After this, we'll be learning about characteristics of the living organisms. Okay, now then the chapter would be finished.
Yes, sir. I'm done.
Okay, Kadichat, what about you? Done?
Yes.
Good. So we have learned about various habitats and how animals would be adapted to live there. One more important thing to be discussed in the chapter is characteristics of the living organism. This was a small topic, so I kept it to be. So we are discussing it right now, not in the beginning. So because this was a small topic. So talking about the characteristics of living organisms. So what is common between all the living organisms that we see on Earth? Huh? So no matter what kind of organism we have, we see almost all of them would be needing food, air, and water in order to survive. That is one of the common characteristics of all the living things.
Yes.
All the living things would be showing movement right now. They'll be moving from one place to another in search of food, water, or shelter. While in the case of animals, they can change their place in search for food, air, and water.
Camouflage also.
Yeah, camouflage also. But in the case of plants, they can't move from one place to another, but their size can increase, their height can increase. So they will be showing linear movement. Okay, now linear or lateral movement. Like
Yes.
they would be showing movement in the upward direction. Their height will be increasing. They would be expanding. The stems would be becoming thicker. The branches would be expanding.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is the movement
Yes.
seen in the case of plants and in animals. Living things can grow, right now. Like we go.
Like the plants
Mhm.
and sometimes, I mean, humans also.
Humans also, like in the case of plants, as the seed will be germinating, a small plantlet will be coming out of that seed. Like as the seed germinates, so thereby what we observe that a small plantlet will grow out of it, right? Thereby, once the seed germinates, so thereby a plantlet grows out of
Yes.
it. A small plant of few centimeters is called as plantlet. So it grows out of
Yes.
it. Okay, now. Thereby, in the case of
And then
humans
that
also,
plant will become a tree
will
or
become
a
a tree.
shrub or a herb or a climber or something.
Exactly. Right now. So in the case of humans also, we see that we grow from after the birth, our number of cells in our body starts to divide. Our size, our height,
Yes, sir.
it increases right now. Furthermore, we have some
From
examples of
cell, it goes till tissues, and then
yeah,
that tissues will be an
organ. Very good.
organ.
And there will be a organ system, and then it will basically be an organism.
Organism.
Even the microorganisms, the organisms that you can't see with your bare eyes, you have to take help of microscope. They will also be growing. Right now, their size will grow, their number will grow. Right now, so that is also one common characteristics of all the living organisms. Living things can respond to stimuli. Like you would have seen some plants like Mimosa pudica. That is also called as touch me not plant. How many of you know about this touch me not plant?
Sir, I know about
Mimosa pudica, also called as touch me not
sir.
plant.
Venus flytrap also.
That is a insectivorous plant that will be feeding the
Hmm.
insects. Okay, now to obtain nutrition from it. So talking about Mimosa pudica, if you were to touch the leaves of this plant, the leaves will fold. Okay, now you have
What,
seen
sir?
this plant, the leaves will fold. Okay, now the
Yeah.
leaves will fold. Like the
Yes,
leaves, if they are like this, If you were to touch them, the leaves would kind of be folding themselves like this. Okay. So that is responding to some reactions. It is responding to some action now. So it is reacting to some external
Yes, sir.
change right now. So once the touch is the stimuli, touch is the stimuli, because of that it will be responding. For example,
Yes,
if this is the window in your house and if you were to place a potted plant over here, what you will observe that the branches of the potted plant will tend to grow towards the direction from where the sunlight would be coming. So it will grow in this
yes, sir.
manner, right, Nakadisha and Halima?
Yes.
The plant would be
Yes,
bending.
sir.
So here the
Sir, and the root will go for the gravity or the minerals or what.
wherever the water will be present in that direction will be growing. Let us
Yes,
understand
sir.
about the sunlight. So sunlight is the cause. It's the disturbance. Okay, now it's a external cause because of which it shows some response. So sunlight is the stimuli here, because of which the plant responds in a certain manner. So it grows in the direction where the sunlight is coming from. Or for example, if I were to take a glass chamber, if I were to take a glass chamber like this, okay, now, and see that I have two places over here, like one place over here where what I see that water is being placed, water is there, okay, now, and these are the soil particles, for example, these are the soil particles, and there's a plant over here. So what I will observe now, the roots of the plants will grow in this direction. Getting it, Khadijat and Halima?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right now, so that is an adaptation in the case of the I mean to say responding to the stimuli, right?
Yes.
These are some
Yes,
of the things which are going to discuss. Furthermore, also, like whenever we touch something really hot, if I were to accidentally place my hand on a hot kitchen utensil or hot pan, I will immediately take my hand away from that. Why?
yes,
Because the hot object was the stimuli, because of which I immediately responded by removing my hand from there.
yes,
Sir.
Good. So stimuli would be any external disturbance because of which any living organism would be responding, would be reacting in a certain manner, right? Furthermore, living things can respire also. So living things can respire. That is basically we take in oxygen. We
oxygen.
take in oxygen rich air, and that oxygen is used to break down the food that we are eating. Like, why are we eating food? To obtain energy from that food now. So in the process of respiration,
Yes,
we take in that food, we take in oxygen to break down the food that you have eaten. That's why oxygen is necessary for staying alive, right now. In the absence of
yes,
oxygen we die, right? Furthermore, living things can excrete also, no matter whether it be plant or animal or even the microorganisms, all of them would be
yes, sir.
releasing waste product from their body. Furthermore, living things can reproduce also, that they can give birth to their young ones. Like we humans, most of the mammals, most of the animal
Yes,
plants and bacteria, they will be giving birth to their same kind. So that is also characteristic of living organism. And living things have a definite lifespan. Like every living organism that we see around us have a definite lifespan. For example, humans have a definite lifespan. uh, it is destined that after some time they will be dying. Getting it now? Like currently, if we
yes,
were to look at the life
Sir.
expectancy of most of the people on earth, it is about 70 years right now, about 65 to 70 years.
yes,
Getting it? Although the upper limit to which a human can stay alive, it's not fixed, but it is usually said that the upper fixed limit is, as of now, it's 80, 90, somewhere like that. For example, there are some animals that have really long lifespan. Some animals whose lifespan would be very long. For example, if you were to look at some examples of whales, or we have some example of bats, or I mean to say some example of turtles. So some turtles can live for over 100 years also. Hmm. Some of the jellyfish can live for more than 100 years. Getting it? Some of the lobsters, you guys know about lobsters? Lobsters. Some lobsters
Yes,
can even stay alive for more than 100 years. Crocodiles are also known to have a long lifespan. Elephants can live up to 80 years of age. So what we see that different organisms would be having a definite lifespan after which they will be dying. Even bacteria, like for example, there's a microorganism like amoeba. There's a microorganism by
yes,
the name of amoeba. It has a lifespan of few hours. After a few hours, it will die. Okay, na? That is the thing. There are a few special things which we are going to discuss, but before that, let's do this question quickly. So the question is, which of the following is not an example of a response to a stimuli? Shutting out our eyes when an object is suddenly thrown in our direction. Like something is being thrown at you, you suddenly shut down your eyes. Or watering in the mouth when we see delicious food. So when you see some delicious food, the saliva comes in your mouth. Or is it the closing of the leaves of mimosa plant when touched? When you touch the mimosa plant or touch me not plant, now the leaves closes now. Or is it the hatching out of the chick from an egg?
sir.
Hmm.
The last one, a chick hatching out of an egg.
Okay, what about you, Kadisha?